burning babies, psychotic clones, and the most emotional killing of a robot since Terminator 2. Foundation Season 3 has come to an end with an absolutely epic finale that will take the story into new and unprecedented places. And this video will cover it all because I've had my clones working all week, and when I say my clones, I mean me in my parents' basement. We'll be covering the Mule's real identity, who this guy is, where Gaal's headed next, what will happen to Demerzel, and of course the question everyone wants to know: how long will it take Zagreus to clean up all those bodies? This is a non-book spoiler review, and be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on what type of Foundation theories or videos you'd like to see next. We begin at the Imperial Palace on Trantor. This is to be Brother Dusk's last day, as he'll be undergoing a ceremony known as the Ascension, in which his body will be turned to ash to make way for the next Cleon. We first saw this process in Season 1, Episode 3. Dusk examines the cloning chamber, which also acts as a metaphor for just how insignificant and replaceable he is. His actions this episode are a direct refutation of the very system that created him and an attempt to gain his own agency, even at the expense of his own brother or even entire planets. Both he and Demerzel are prisoners, Dusk to the never-ending carousel of the Genetic Dynasty and Demerzel to her programming. But by the end of the episode, it seems both will have broken free, with monumentous implications for Season 4. We'll see Master Landell, the woman in charge of tailoring Dusk's Ascension robes, remove his personal aura controller. This wrist-worn device helps the Cleons deflect projectiles and cushions falls, just like we saw with Brother Dawn in Season 1 when he attempted suicide. This is necessary in order for the Ascension ray to properly disintegrate him. You'll notice Landell refers to Dusk now as Brother Darkness. This is the final stage of the Cleonic journey, completing the cycle from dawn to dark. The darkness is both the name of this episode and what Brother Day says comes after the Genetic Dynasty.
Darkness is coming, maybe just for us, maybe for everything, but it's coming.
Dusk tells her that he's going to get his nanites removed, those nanobots we saw heal Day in episode 302, but this is all a lie. Dusk plans to thwart his ascension, something we've seen foreshadowed throughout the season. Remember, he'd often study previous Brother Dusks who attempted to flee. We also know he schemes behind Demerzel's back. I mean, he spent decades building the Novacula without her knowing. He's also insanely narcissistic, putting himself over the good of the dynasty. After vaporizing billions of lives, he tells Demerzel he wants his name in the Hall of Cleons changed to Cleon the Consequential. We'll see him pass a group of scientists calibrating this machine, which looks pretty close to the nanite extractor Brother Day used in 304. This is the Imperial Fertility Lab we saw where Queen Sereth of Cloud Dominion was impregnated with Brother Dawn's sperm in 207. That's something this season never touched upon. What became of Queen Sereth and the rogue Brother Dawn from Season 2? At the end of Season 2, Sereth was pregnant, and it's possible their offspring could hold a legitimate claim to the throne. But with the Cloud Dominion mothership destroyed by the Novacula, it's less and less likely to be a story thread going into Season 4. Like a lamb being led to the slaughter, Brother Day passes a literal slaughtered lamb. He's returned to the Imperial Palace after his journey to Mycogen, a journey which changed the way he's viewed the Cleon's treatment of Demerzel. In fact, he believes Demerzel to be the only one to save humanity. With him, he's brought Sunmaster 18's Brazen Head, a robot skull that attempted to connect with other robots, but as far as we know, it never connected to Demerzel. In the episode's final scene, we'll see this mystery character say they were told that Demerzel was incapable of clasping. We'll talk about him in a bit. Beside Demerzel, we can make out Kalle's 9th proof of folding. Demerzel took this forbidden text from the Imperial Library and was able to consult with a version of Kalle herself. Kalle's mathematics were pivotal in the creation of the Prime Radiant, and it was her 9th proof of folding that allowed Gaal to solve Harry's Abraxas conjecture, an event which kicked off the entire Foundation series. Back on New Terminus, Gaal prepares for her fight with the Mule, a fight she says will take place within the fortress of her mind. This is a battle she's been preparing for centuries. Last episode, she made a deal with the digital version of Harry Seldon within the vault. He will whisk them into the space station above New Terminus using the vault's manipulation of physics, in exchange for a meeting with the real Harry Seldon, who he believes can give him a physical body. With Harry's distraction, the team makes it to the space station using their mental powers to avoid detection. In the medical bay stand Bayta and Brother Dawn. Well, not really standing for him since his spacesuit ate most of his legs. This is their final goodbye, as Bayta senses a chance to escape in the commotion. Brother Dawn stays behind, unable to move, and that's the last we see of him this season. We'll talk a bit more about him later. Back on Trantor, Brother Day attempts to connect the Brazen Head with Demerzel, believing if such a connection were to happen, it could free her from her programming. For centuries, Demerzel obeyed one rule above all else: preserve the Genetic Dynasty, but now the opportunity to be free of this is slowly becoming a reality. The head responds to her maintenance tools, but before any sort of connection can be made, she's alerted to a disturbance in the cloning chambers. There, Brother Dusk begins his attack on the tanks, destroying the other Cleons, ensuring he is the sole Cleon left. That is, except for a baby, which he'll later use as bait. His attack is a rejection on the endless conveyor belt of clone Cleons. He'll later tell Zagreus to have the two other thrones removed, as he will now be the sole ruler. But this also begs the question, who succeeds him? Maybe he could have his consciousness moved into a new, younger body. That way he could technically live forever. Meanwhile, Ambassador Quent is tasked by Demerzel to take Kalle's 9th proof of folding back to the library. Last episode, we saw Demerzel consult Kalle within the Prime Radiant about Gaal's vision of the future, a vision which saw the Mule take over Trantor in his quest to destroy the Second Foundation. She speaks of not knowing if her decision to help Seldon's followers is genuine, or if her programming will have her betray them, but I think this episode gives us the answer. When Ambassador Quent returns the proof to Ni Telemaris, the Imperial Librarian, she is taken to Second Foundation's first speaker, Preem Palver. These two have likely never met, considering the Second Foundation was kept in complete secrecy. However, noticing the Prime Radiant, Quent knows this man is on their side. It's very much possible that Demerzel used her Prime Radiant to communicate with Preem and invited him in the Second Foundation to hide on Trantor. Last episode, Demerzel talked about how during the Robot War, the robots hid in the library, and how years of Trantor building on top of itself has created forgotten hiding spots that only Demerzel knows. If you think about it, Trantor is a brilliant spot to hide. It's the last place anyone would look, and has the added benefit of being on a planet that is directly opposed to the Mule. Back on the space station, Gaal takes on the Mule in their final battle. She takes him into the, quote, fortress of her mind, the setting of which is the Trantorian Seer Church we saw way back in episode 101. And I also think the knife that kills the Mule is Raisha's dagger, the same dagger that once held the digital consciousness of Harry Seldon. But the battle is far from over. Gaal notes that someone is still inside her head, and it's finally revealed who's been puppeteering the Mule this entire time. None other than Bayta Mallow. There have been quite a number of clues hinting at this throughout the season.
For years, I have felt I was wearing someone else's dreams. Do you ever feel like your life is not your own?
For example, Bayta's job is literally an influencer. She talks about being able to make people love her.
We're good at making people love us.
And wishes that everyone was part of one thing.
I wish everyone would just be a part of one thing.
We also saw her compel the Mule to lay off Brother Dawn, how she was saved by the Mule's men to get medical care, and her desire to meet Harry Seldon even though she had no real reason to.
I'd kind of like to meet this Seldon fella everyone's always banging on about.
This reveal comes with major consequences. For example, does that mean Gaal's vision of being attacked by the Mule no longer happens now that he's dead? The show has stated multiple times that her visions aren't fixed.
Every bad dream you've ever had has come true.
That doesn't mean that this one will. I have to believe that we can change this.
You were right. The future can be changed.
I can't accept an inescapable future, and neither should you.
but I could also see her vision being tainted as a result of Bayta's influence, meaning we might still get this scene, only now the Mule is switched with Bayta. There's also Bayta's marriage to Torin. If I'm Torin, you better believe I'll be questioning what is real. Was their love real? Now we do see flashbacks of young Bayta being drowned by her father, so we can assume she was raised on Rossum and has a brother somewhere out there. I think the brother could be explored in season 4, as this brother might have similar powers. Now could her brother be the Mule or Magnifico? My guess is no, simply because of the age difference, and I also didn't see Bayta get upset at the Mule dying, but hey, crazier things have happened in this show. In her attempt to escape from Bayta, Gaal is shot by Han. And yes, in this situation, Han shot first. Han's been put under Bayta's control, and he explains that under Bayta's rule, they could achieve in 1 year what has taken psychohistory hundreds. Bayta intends on taking over Empire in what I imagine would be a sort of despotic rule where everyone is mind-controlled to love her. Bayta attempts to convert Gaal using Magnifico to amplify her powers, but what she doesn't know is that Gaal has tampered with the balladeer. He now only plays her song, allowing Gaal to break free. Gaal has said that Magnifico's music would be key to solving the third crisis.
He and his music are the key to solving the third crisis.
But the third crisis isn't solved by the end of this season. As far as we know, Bayta is still kicking, and Magnifico along with her. In one of my favorite scenes of the series, Brother Dusk uses baby Cleon to lure Demerzel into the Ascension Ray. Her programming compels her to save the last vestige of the Genetic Dynasty, even if it means sacrificing herself. The Ray incinerates her and the child, leaving only the Prime Radiant and partial remains of her skull. But is this the end of Demerzel? In episode 304, Zephyr Varellis talks about the luminous belief of resurrection and how Demerzel may die again soon.
When the Empire falls, you'll have a fourth life.
Stop!
A new Demerzel is going to walk out of the palace. She can start to clean, embrace it.
And I have to imagine when she resurrects, she will finally be free of her programming. But how will this quote-unquote resurrection happen? Because her memory is digital, this could happen via her remaining skull, or more likely, the Prime Radiant itself. Earlier this season, we learned Demerzel's data and memories were included in the Prime Radiant as part of Harry's calculations. A literal part of Demerzel is in the Prime Radiant. Theoretically, that could be extracted and uploaded to a new body, whether it be robotic or organic. Kalle did this in Season 2, taking Harry's digital consciousness and giving him a new body. How wild would it be if Demerzel came back as a human? She is, or was, a believer in Luminism, a religion that believes in reincarnation. But since robots don't have souls, Demerzel could never be reincarnated. However, if she became a human, this no longer would be a problem. Gaal's amber-colored eyes indicate she is using her powers to escape the station, calling upon Rasik to pick her up as she boogie boards her way on board. There, Vault Harry has come to collect. He got her on the station, now he wants to be taken to the real Harry Seldon. The only problem is, Gaal thinks the real Harry is dead. Gaal lied to him to get what she wanted. It's a betrayal that might have grave consequences. Vault Harry feels like an entombed prisoner, and with him staying behind after Gaal jumps into space, I wonder if he'll end up siding with Bayta. The wild card here is we don't actually know if real Harry is dead. The last time we saw him, he traveled into this portal with Kalle. Originally, I thought this was taking them to Kalle's hideout planet, Una's world, but if you look closely, you can kind of make out the moon, the same location Kalle is seen in the final scene, but more on that in a bit. Brother Day confronts Dusk, explaining how Demerzel could have helped them. Although Day is physically stronger, Dusk still has his nanites which heal him. Day, on the other hand, extracted his before leaving for Mycogen, leaving him vulnerable to Dusk's blaster attack. What follows are the ramblings of an insane man, reveling in his destruction of the Galactic Council, his own kin, and Day himself. Empire is now in control of one man, and no one appears ready to challenge him. There's a nice callback to the hopeful and emotional bonding scene between the brothers drinking from a flask, which is now juxtaposed to the sadistic, anger-fueled tyrant. The last we see Brother Dusk, he's framed on the middle throne with a literal dusk setting on him. He holds in his hand the Prime Radiant. I'm not sure how much of a help it will be considering the projection stomp in 4 months' time. Some sort of cataclysmic event, which Harry and Gaal have theorized has something to do with the Mule, or who we should now call Bayta. Our final scene is absolutely wild. Here we see the robotic head from Mycogen initiate a connection with Kalle. You'll notice the signal travels from Trantor to a moon thousands of light years away. In the Foundation universe, Trantor is in the same galaxy as Earth, and with our final shot being this, I think it's safe to say that Kalle is on the moon orbiting our Earth. Granted, the continents look a bit off, but that could be because Foundation takes place thousands of years in the future, and our geography will have changed. For example, if this is South America, with this green area being the Amazon, and this is North America, you'll see water levels have lowered, turning the Gulf of Mexico into a lake. But hey, what do you think? Kalle here says, quote, "One of us has initiated a clasp." This would seemingly confirm that Kalle is in fact a robot. But who is that robot next to her? Either he's a new character entirely, or perhaps Harry Seldon. Harry left with Kalle but is nowhere to be seen. It was Kalle who gave him an actual body in Season 2, who's to say she couldn't put him in a robot? It's also interesting these two were told that Demerzel is incapable of clasping, meaning the signal is coming from Sunmaster's robotic skull. Unless Demerzel found some way to imprint herself in there without us knowing, this is someone who's trying to bring the robots into what Kalle calls the struggle. The struggle may refer to Empire and Foundation's war against Bayta, or something larger, something that could bring in the two rival robotic factions from the Robot Wars. Kalle goes on to say that all the pieces are in place, suggesting this is all part of some larger plan. Sounds a lot like psychohistory. Now let's take a look at some of these pieces. At the end of the season, Gaal jumps into the vast expanse of space, telling Volteri that there's nothing for him where she's going. Gaal explicitly told Preem not to tell her the location of the second Foundation, in case the Mule extracted that information from her. So Trantor might not be the first place she decides to visit. Maybe it's back to Ignis to search for clues on where Foundation was headed, Una's world to visit Kalle, or she might visit Rossum to learn more about Bayta's upbringing. Bayta's fate is also unknown. We go from seeing her succumb to Gaal's power, but then it cuts to Gaal escaping. What happened to her? Most likely, Gaal simply used her advantage to escape, and Bayta's still kicking. This would also mean Bayta still has control over New Terminus, and her takeover of the galaxy will continue. She also told Torin she'll explain everything to him, so I'm hoping we learn more about the real Bayta. Characters like Han and Brother Dawn will also be with her, and it'll be interesting to see if Brother Dawn goes full Team Bayta to take down Dusk. Gaal also mentioned that she had a zygote of her daughter Salvor Hardin. This never developed into any plot this season, but I imagine the show will find a way to bring her daughter back. If I had to hazard a guess, Season 4 might incorporate some sort of time manipulation. In episode 306, Demerzel analyzes one of Gaal's visions, stating that in 4 months' time, Gaal will be floating in a black hole. The gravity of a black hole can slow down time, meaning if Gaal is in one, she would experience time more slowly than those outside it. Every season, the show has played with significant time jumps, so that's a definite possibility going into Season 4. The show has also introduced a black hole in the form of the Novacula, which may or may not come into play. Have we seen the end of Brother Day? I'm gonna say not likely. While all the Cleons may have been destroyed, there are still ways to bring him back, the simplest of which is if Brother Dawn naturally grows older. If there is a time jump, we might just see Dawn turn into his Lee Pace version. We also don't know what happened with Day's body, just that Zagreus is ordered to dispose of it. In a show where characters have come back as clones and digital avatars, it's entirely possible we haven't seen the last of him. I also believe Demerzel is vital in both saving humanity and rebuilding the robots. After all, she says in episode 209,
"I am rare, perhaps unique, the key to making more of my kind."
And when asked what she would do if she were free,
I suppose I would make more creatures like me. More robots.
Later in the season, she'll say that she and the robots will have offered Foundation refuge, which would indicate she's alive in that future.
In that future, I offered, will have offered it to Seldon's followers as a refuge.
She's personally my favorite character, so I'm rooting for her to make a return. Now I want to extend a huge thank you for those who have stuck by me this season for these breakdowns. I absolutely love making them and hope you'll consider liking and subscribing as I move on to new shows while we wait for Season 4. And news that just came out today, Foundation has been renewed for a Season 4, so I hope you'll stick with me. So now I turn it over to you. What do you think will happen in Season 4? I want to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments below. For more bad takes, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember,
Daddy loves you very much.